Yeah, I'm delighted to be connecting with everyone right now. One of the most exciting parts of my job is getting to connect with our Springtide ambassadors. They're young people spread all throughout the country. And I get to connect with them as well as other podcast guests and a number of different young people. And what they are repeatedly telling us is that while they want to talk to the trusted adults in their lives about their mental health experiences, they sense that those adults have some trepidation to actually have these conversations. That, it's just that the adults don't always feel comfortable. So they're more talking sometimes to their peers. But we asked our ambassadors, as well as other young people that we're in conversation with, what do you wish that you could tell the adults in your life about your mental health? What do you wish they understood about your mental health experiences? So we have 5 voices we want you to hear right now answering that exact question.
Something that I wish that the adults in my life understood about mental health is that it comes and goes in waves. Just because I struggle with like a certain thing doesn't mean that I'm gonna like display that 100% of the time. Do you know what I mean? So if I like struggle with depression or something like that, it doesn't mean I'm gonna be super sad like all the time, you know? It can last for like a day or two or, a few weeks or cycle through like months or seasons. So I wish that they understood that. Another thing that I wish that they understood is that I kind of, oh God, I kind of suppress it myself. So when I want to act like I'm fine, minor things tend to like set me off, if that makes sense. So it's not really that I'm freaking out or like that really small things like trigger me. That's not it. It's just that it's like an accumulation of things and they kind of build up until very minor inconveniences happen, and that's kind of what sets me off. So yeah.
The one thing I would like adults to understand about mental health is that sometimes it's okay to be sad and to not have a direct, concrete reason. I think I experienced this a lot trying to explain away my sadness to not be sad anymore. And I realized that we never do this when we're happy. We never, when we're just having a day where we feel happy or joyful, we don't sit there and think, why am I happy? What are the reasons? What blah, blah. Sometimes you just are and you just feel it. Maybe it's the energy in the room, or maybe it is something that happened in particular, but we often don't try to explain away our happiness. In the same strain, I think when we're sad, we try to explain it away so we don't have to feel pain or sadness or grief, and we say, well, it's not that bad, or it could be worse, or things like that. And I think it's important sometimes to sit in sadness, because in the world there are really beautiful, wonderful things that make us happy. And there are also really sad and terrible and horrible things that happen that can make us sad.
The society we're living in now, I feel like, is a lot more complex, a lot more fast paced, and a lot more divided than it was 20 or 30 years ago. And I think this adds an immense amount of stress to our lives that it can be hard to navigate sometimes. And there's so much information that is passed down from social media and spread from the social or the media outlets that it can be hard to differentiate what's right and what's wrong. And I think that when it comes to deciding what's best for my mental health, it can be very hard to make the correct decision.
The biggest thing that I wish adults, I'm an adult, so I guess what I mean, the biggest thing that I wish people in leadership or authority positions over me understood about mental health is that you don't actually need to be in a crisis to need help. Mental health is extremely valuable and important, and it's something that we should all be honoring and protecting in our daily lives. So that would be my biggest point.
I wish the adults in my life knew just how meaningful it was, how meaningful it is that I have them to talk to, even if it's just the little things, that I have someone, not only professionals, but also adults in my family life and things like that, to talk to, just so that I know that I can heal and be myself with them by my side and with support. I know that I can trust them, and that is incredibly important to me.
We're so honored to have Mercer and Sophia and Jake and Fardosa and Jasper's voices really in conversation with the data today. We have a lot of voices beyond those 5 that you just heard that we feature in our podcast. We have what is called the Voices of Young People podcast, and we have season 7. It's available now. There are 16 different young people that are featured in this mental health and Gen Z season. And you get to go even deeper than some of those reflections you just heard on what experiences young people are having with mental health, what conversations they're having in their schools or workplaces, and really what they wish adults understood and ways that they could feel and dig into what our Springtide ambassadors, as well as other youth and young adults that we're in conversation with, what they're telling us about mental health. Thanks.